Hello, and welcome to another Czech Day Trip with me, Paul Colto. On today's trip, we will see 2 observation towers, 1 brewery, and lots of other splendid things. Today's trip starts in the village of Drůžec, which is just a small climb away from our first point. This ROZHLEDNY Veselov. This was constructed at 429 meters above sea level. It's 14 meters tall, and it was built in 2014. In the description, there's a link to photos of a group of men vigorously constructing this observation tower. I said goodbye to ROZHLEDNY Veselov, crossed the motorway, and entered the village of Velká Dobrá, which literally means big good. Out of the village and onwards, through a small forest, and out past some fields and meadows. Entering the next village, Horní Bezděkov, was this very nicely designed adventure golf park, where young families were competing against each other. I was starting to get a little peckish at this point, and finally found a suitable little hut to take a break. But what's that on the bench? A little flash of brown. It isn't. Of course it is. Onwards again. I was now approaching my second destination, the highest point in the Kladno district, 486 meters above sea level, is ROZHLEDNY Vysoký vrch, which basically translates as Lookout Tower, High Hill, which is almost saying the same thing 4 times. The tower is 10 meters high and was constructed in 2007, and the ascent to the lookout tower is at your own risk. There is a link with more info about this lookout tower in the description. Midday had arrived, and it was time for luncheon. So I sat down here, all on my own, at the top of the observation tower, took out my trusty green lunchbox, and summoned 2 sausage-shaped sandwiches, which I enjoyed eating with my mouth open. a final glimpse at the stunning view before my first encounter with a snake in the grass. Dear viewer, what species of snake is this? Please let me know in the comments. From here, it was a short walk to the village of Malé Kyšice, a village of just 327 people. This pub, U Kozla, in the village centre, is a popular place that I have visited before, but today I wouldn't be visiting because just a couple of kilometers away is a brewery that needs to be seen to be believed. So on I headed, out of the village and down to the brewery in DÉDKÜV MLÝN, which loosely translates as Grandpa or Old Man's Mill. And just look at the setting of this brewery. Magical. It's quite tough to find much information about this brewery, though I believe the upstairs that you can see there was or is still used for the production of violins. Their website is quite primitive and difficult to navigate because it has a song that's almost impossible to turn off and restarts every time you go to a section of the website. Their Twitter profile has been suspended for an undisclosed breaking of the rules, and the Facebook page hasn't been updated in over a year. I do believe it has recently opened a bistro in Prague though. But none of that's really important. What matters is the beer. It's seemingly staffed by one gentleman and one lady. Weddings are possible here, and theatre and live music apparently also takes place here. It's a brewery I thoroughly recommend you visit. It's easily accessible by bus from Prague. After one or maybe two beers, I continued on my merry way towards my final destination. But not before I saw my second snake of the day, a slightly more brown version of the one I saw earlier, but not as brown as my Tatranki. More wildlife by this pond. I discovered this little frog poking his head above the surface of the water. The walk from DÉDKÜV MLÝN to my final destination, the town of UNHOŠọng, is right along a little stream and an extremely peaceful walk. 2 benches for lovers, probably young ones, and plenty of sights like this appear along the walk as you get closer and closer to UNHOŠọng. UNHOŠọng is 21 kilometers west of Prague and has a population of about 4,800 people. Archaeological finds prove that the area was used for agriculture in the Stone Age, and the town was a popular holiday destination for people from Prague at the end of the 19th century. On arriving after 22.6 kilometers of hiking, I found myself rather thirsty again. So I turned the corner and noticed some small tents or gazebos in the square, under which there were some sofas and chairs. I wondered who these belonged to, and took an educated guess that it might be this restaurant here. I went inside, ordered a beer, and was told that these sofas did in fact belong to them. So I sat down with a cold glass of Pilsner Urquell and looked up at the church of St. Peter and Paul as I drank this golden nectar. Finally, it was time to make my way back to Prague on the bus. If you've enjoyed this trip, you can find a link to a map in the description. Let's connect on Instagram and Twitter. Please, of course, do like, subscribe and share. And all that's really left to be said, dear viewer, is thank you very much for watching and accompanying me on this latest Czech Day trip. And until next time, happy tripping and toot toot.